The street I grew up on ended in the woods. Most days during the summer, my friends and I would explore from sunup to sundown. We'd make forts, or we'd build rafts and try to navigate the creek that wound through the trees. But other times, I'd wander off by myself. That was something I always admired about the trees, their aloneness. It felt like they knew something that I didn't, some wisdom about how to be solitary, how to be strong in and of oneself. Sometimes I'd look up into the branches, and as the wind rustled through the leaves, I'd imagine that the trees were whispering some of that wisdom to me. I recently learned that I wasn't too far off. You see, trees do talk. It's just not to us. If a tree comes under attack, if it's being eaten away by a pest of some kind, the tree can release toxins into the leaves. And that process gives off a smell. And that smell travels from the tips of its branches to the tips of the branches of the neighboring trees, warning them to start making the same toxins. The trees use their outstretched branches to tell one another when they're under attack. But another way trees talk is through the ground. Underground, the roots are spreading, searching and intertwining with all of the roots of all the other trees, and this creates a network by which they can exchange all kinds of things, a kind of woodland World Wide Web. When a tree isn't getting what it needs to thrive, when it can't find the nutrients, the sugars, the water that keep it alive, it can send out a distress call to the community, a cry for help. And oftentimes, the surrounding trees will come to the rescue. They'll take any extra they have, dip into their reserves, and they'll send those reserves down through their roots to the tree that needs it. All along, I'd thought of trees as these solid and secluded things, these things that are just fine with isolation, things that were even in competition with one another for nutrients and light and all the rest. And I'd admired them for it, for their resilience, for their solitary strength. But I was wrong. I'd missed that all along they'd been strong because of one another. I think that for a lot of us, somewhere along the way, we learn to idealize a solitary kind of strength, believing that showing weakness is weak, that admitting need is needy, that to share deeply will somehow deplete us. But in our recent season of isolation, I feel like a lot of us are discovering that what we've idealized all along isn't true. We are not better off alone. I've had some days recently when it has felt like I have been under attack, when it feels like bad news is eating away at me. And it's when I've reached out, when I've passed on what I'm experiencing and feeling and learning, that I've found the strength to be able to combat it. Last week, it felt like my soul was planted in barren soil. Like no matter how deep down I dug, there just wasn't the stuff down there to draw life from. And then I had a phone conversation with a friend who began to share with me a little bit about what God was teaching them, the things that they were soaking up. And that gave life to my faith again. It gave me the things that I was lacking. And I've also had these moments of abundance, these moments when I become aware of just how much I have and how much I have to give, and not just things. Because I'm learning more and more that the more deeply I give love to the people around me, the more abundant it becomes. We are stronger together. We are stronger when we are reaching toward one another. And when we do, we all grow. And when we grow, we're all able to reach a little higher toward the light.